welcome to another weekly forecast. My name is Yelena Crawford. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and if you've never been to my channel before, then welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, once again, thank you so much for subscribing to this channel, and I am so forever grateful to have you as part of this growing community. But today we've got a forecast. Again, I release these forecasts every single Friday. It is a weekly forecast all about the astrological energy of this week. So this is going to be from Friday, June 11th, all the way to Thursday, which is June 17th. So just a couple little housekeeping items before we begin the general forecast. I do use the tropical Western Zodiac, and I've used a mixture of modern astrology as well as ancient traditional Hellenistic astrology. If you are interested in scheduling a personalized reading, because we all know that this is a general forecast for the collective energies, so this may or may not specifically be tailored to you because our own individual natal charts are being activated in very, very different ways. We all have very unique placements. So if you are going through something, or you just want to make more sense of some of these big energies that we are transiting through this summer, and the rest of the year for that matter, you can schedule a personalized reading with me below. And also add me on Instagram, because I love to create these unique and beautiful graphics that are all educational and astrological. And I spend a lot of time doing it. So I would love for you to follow me on Instagram. You can find me at Yelena Crawford 1111, which I'll post up on the screen right now. And I guess that's probably it for the housekeeping. Once again, I am going to be doing a reading for all 12 zodiac signs at the end. We are really focusing on Mars moving into the sign of Leo. We are very much focused on Uranus square to Saturn, because that is the underlying theme of the entire year and some of next year. And that's a big one, you guys. It's a big one, and it's quite a bit challenging. And then we've got the Sun square Neptune happening as well. So these are the three transits that I'm just going to specifically focus on this week. But now, the day after the eclipse, Friday, I want to make sure I'm getting these dates right, June 11th, we are in Mars, the planet of our ambition, our energy, our life force. This is a very important planet. I think people fail to recognize this sometimes, that this is where our energy comes from. Okay, so Mars is always changing signs roughly every month and a half to 2 months, depending on its retrograde cycle. Sometimes it can be longer. But this is our will to go out and achieve and get things done in life. It's our motivation. It's our willpower. It represents our life force energy. It's what we desire to do and how we go about doing that specifically. So Mars has been in a really challenging position since the end of April. I want to say it moved in about April 26th-ish, give or take. It is the most challenging place for this planet to be, okay? And Mars, if you think about it, is a very masculine planet, meaning that it is an action-oriented planet. It takes action. It's very initiatory. It takes charge. It's very impulsive and direct, right? Where Cancer is very different. It is pretty much the opposite. It's a feminine sign. It's very much more receptive. It's going to sit back and take in its surroundings and take in its environment. And it is also kind of an initiating energy, right? But it's not going to do so as direct. Also, Cancer rules over safety and security. And Cancerians are very protective of themselves and their family and their homestead and everything like that. So we've got Mars, this warrior, this action-oriented, kind of aggressive, confrontational energy. You may have noticed a lot of dynamics coming up when Mars was in Cancer regarding and surrounding family matters and family affairs, or maybe just self-protection in general, where you feel like you needed to protect your family in some way, or you felt unsafe and you felt like you may need to protect yourself in some way. And another thing Mars was trying to help us do, I believe, in this area of life is Mars comes in and influences Cancer in a way in which it's like, I'm going to make you a little bit uncomfortable right now, because I am very direct. I come at things very head on, where you are sidestepping things a little bit too much. So there's a lot of dynamics going on in your life that kind of need to be adjusted before we can move forward in life. Meaning you might be withholding certain things, or withholding certain behaviors, or withholding ways of expressing yourself because you feel like you need to protect yourself and put up this coat of armor, right? Because we've got Cancer that's got that hard shell on its back that always resorts into the shell. and doesn't let you really get to know who they truly are sometimes when they feel that they're unsafe or that they need to protect themselves. This can also prevent us from really speaking our mind. We don't come at things very directly, and Mars wanted us to, right? So there was this passive aggression and this energy that was kind of building up within some people, within some relational dynamics or situations that might play out in our lives that maybe cause passive aggression or just volatile emotions. We didn't quite know where to direct them or how to express them or anything like that. And it was causing a little bit of a problem. But Mars, what it wanted to do was show us how to be a little bit more direct in the way that we express our emotions and the way that we acknowledge our own feelings and the feelings of other people. And Mars was just recently last week opposing Pluto too, which made the intensity of this tenfold and really amped it up. And you could see a lot of things bursting at the seams, like a volcano was erupting in a lot of people's lives in a lot of situations. There were these power and control dynamics playing out. So this is where we've come from with Mars. As Mars really was feeling stifled here and not in its normal manner whatsoever, but now Mars is moving and it is in the sign of Leo, which is very, very similar to Mars's nature. These are both fire signs. They're both masculine. Really the only difference here is that Mars is more of an initiatory starting type of energy because it's a cardinal sign, and Leo is a fixed energy. So it's withstanding and enduring the test of time. And it's a little bit more hard to change. So really those two energies really combine very nicely because whatever it is that we initiate at this time, there's more of a potential that we can make that run for the long term and actually really take action to make it last long term, right? We're not going to burn out as easily if we were to, say, if Mars was in Aries or something like that. I like to look at Leo as the embers in a bonfire that are burning and burning and burning. Sometimes it takes our action to fan them and flame them a little bit to keep them burning, but that Mars energy is really going to help us to do that, right? So we're getting our energy back. I think this is like a huge indication that a lot of energy is going to be returning to us, which makes me really excited. But there's definitely a couple things that we want to know about this Mars and Leo energy so that we can navigate it to the best of all of our abilities. So definitely bringing back in sustained vitality and motivation, that energy. And Leo in general is an energy that's a little bit more dramatic. It likes to be recognized. It's very prideful. Sometimes can lean towards the arrogant end of things, right? And it's all about authenticity. So why I explain this whole Mars and Cancer dynamic anyways is because I feel like when we're not able to truly come at things directly, we aren't able to truly express ourselves in the most authentic way that we possibly can, right? We can't really truly be ourselves if we have all of this stuff bottled up inside of us and we're coming at things indirectly. We have a passive aggressive nature. So Mars was really helping us to kind of blast through all of that. So now that once it moves into Leo, it's really going to help shoot us forward on this path to be able to face a lot of the challenges that are coming in July, okay? So we're going to be able to step into things in a more willful and authentic version of ourselves, in a more authentic nature, which is going to help us so much. So we're really stepping into our authority and stepping into our power and our leadership abilities in life after all these challenges that we just kind of passed through. So this really also helps with our creativity and our sense of creative self-expression. And it's going to be really beneficial to bring in that childlike nature. That's the nature of Leo, just like having fun, being childlike, laughter, being yourself, carrying on, and being a light in a room full of people. But you always know that that triggers people sometimes. So we want to watch out for that too, and not let it throw us off course if we are triggering other people. And I'm going to get into that a bit in a moment as well. But we want to watch out with this energy, even though it sounds all amazing and so exciting that we're coming into a big burst of energy here. We want to watch out for a couple things, and I made us a little list here. So over domination of other people, or us being over dominated by another, overconfidence and arrogance, being too pompous or proud or prideful, and ego inflation, because Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is all about the ego. If you think about it, it's the center of the universe. Everything revolves around it, right? So just being a little bit too egotistical or getting an inflated sense of self So just be humble, okay? Be humble and try not to show off too much. Obviously be in your light, but understand that there's a lot of other people in this world. Not everything revolves around you. And I know you're gonna be motivated and so excited. And some people will have that sense of humility more so than others and have an easier time doing that than other people as well. And then just being too self-centered, me kind of thing, right? So just a couple things to watch out for. Do follow your heart, follow your joy, follow your bliss. Bring in that inner child into the mix and just have fun with it. So one little side note as well is that Mars is going to be what's called in the first decan of the sign of Leo. There are 3 decans in each sign. They make up that 30-degree portion. Each decan is 10 degrees, and they all have very different energies. So the first decan is ruled by Saturn. First decan's ruled by Saturn, which totally changes up the energy. And it's showing us that there are still going to be limitations and restrictions and possible oppositions that may stand in our way. Challenges from other people, challenges from life circumstances. So even though we may feel extremely motivated and we want to push forward towards what it is we're trying to achieve, we may still be restricted in some way. It's going to also require a lot of hard work. So don't think that things are just going to come really easy just because you got that motivation, and you might be receiving some positive feedback from outer circumstances or outer people in authority or whatever it might be. You still have to put in the work. You still have to be disciplined. So this decan is also in relation to the tarot card, the 5 of Wands. And the 5 of Wands is all about competition and conflict. So we've got this brand new Leo energy, which is very competitive energy anyways, right? They want to be the best at everything. But sometimes we run up against some opposing forces that conflict and get in our way. And we want to watch out for that. We want to also make sure that it doesn't throw us off course, like I was saying earlier, and that we aren't too over-consumed by anybody who might be standing in our way or anything that might be standing in our way. But once again, bringing in the side note of not getting too arrogant, not getting too prideful with all of this information. Put the pride down, honor your humility and your discipline with this Saturn energy. Saturn always is going to reward you for being disciplined, for being hardworking, and for not slacking off. So be willing and open to listen to the perceptions of other people, to the thoughts of other people, being open to things that aren't just what you want and how you prefer to have things, and just try to be as adaptable and flexible as possible, because we are still in Gemini season. We do still have the North Node in Gemini, and we are just coming off of a Gemini eclipse, and that is that adaptable, mutable, changing energy. We're still going through a lot of changes here, is the point that I'm trying to make. But I know I've spent a lot of time on that, you guys, so let's go ahead. I want to move into very quickly. I don't want to touch on this for too long, but we've got the Sun in Gemini squaring Neptune and Pisces on Sunday, June 13th. This is another really challenging one. The Sun is our vitality, and it's our health, and it's our well-being, and also represents our life force energy. And when the Sun is ill aspected sometimes with Neptune, Neptune can rule the immune system, and sometimes our immune system can take a little bit of a hit. So you do want to watch out that you're really taking those extra precautions to really take care of yourself and your body at this time. Neptune also rules over escapist behavior, and I'll tell you right now, it always triggers me. I have a past of tendencies of liking to overindulge, having a drink here and there or whatever, but Neptune will definitely activate that in you. So whether it's gambling or spending or escaping in whatever way, shape, or form, especially because Neptune is in Pisces, drugs and alcohol. You want to watch out for this, because the ability with this transit specifically, is, amongst other things that are going on in the chart, Mercury retrograde is also square Neptune. You want to watch out, because this is a time when you might realize you get swept up before you even realize that you were swept up back into this habitual habit pattern kind of thing. And you have a potential to kind of lose yourself. Since the Sun also represents our identity and our self-confidence and our life purpose, and Neptune kind of seems to fog things up and cloud them and bring this lack of clarity and difficult with understanding certain things, there could potentially be some roadblocks as it pertains to not being able to not being able to see clearly your path and trajectory forward, or feeling as if maybe you've made the wrong decisions, or you don't know what decisions to make, or having a lack of self-confidence, and maybe your identity is confusing to you at this point in some way. Just know that this energy will clear, right? Especially coming into the beginning of July, when we hit that last Mercury retrograde square Neptune. That's going to definitely clear a lot of that stuff up for you. So just know that this is not long lasting, you guys. This too shall pass is one thing I always like to tell myself. So basically, I would say some of the best things that you can do for this transit, because it's Neptune and Pisces, is to find creative outlets. If you feel like there's just too much going on in your mind, mental confusion, you know, it's just really challenging for you, and you're not able to see things clearly or get quite a grasp on the logical, rational side of things in life, in your mind, I would say divulge into the creative outlets that you have in your life, or maybe find a creative outlet if you don't have one. This could be even just bodily movement and yoga, or painting, poetry, reading. Something as simple as reading, going on walks in nature, going somewhere where you can put your toes in the water, or just salt baths. I literally drill that because you would not believe how much they've helped me, or maybe you would believe. But so anyways, another thing with this too is the sun, like I said, with Leo, is the ego. And this could inflate the ego. It could bring in that spiritual ego. So even though maybe you've started living the spiritual lifestyle, or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you aren't wrapping up your ego in this new lifestyle, or this new belief system, or this new way of being, or making it wrong if other people aren't living that way. So that's just another way that this could play out as well. So yeah, even if there's like lack of motivation, lack of mental clarity, really with everything that's going on, you want to just bring as much conscious awareness into your everyday experience, especially if you're struggling with things like addiction or overindulgence. You want to make sure that you're not living in denial. Be real about yourself. Be very observant about your behaviors on the daily, so that you can keep track of that and try to mitigate it at all costs. Make sure you're consulting yourself rather than too many outside sources, and also focus your mind. So meditation would be really good, and try to sink into your intuition as much as possible. There's this glass that we perceive the world through, which I think has a lot to do with the sun and the sun's placement. And when it's getting hit hard with Neptune like this, it's almost like that glass is just totally fogged up, and we just need to take a towel every once in a while and kind of wipe it down. So you just kind of have to do that in your everyday life too. But finally, because gosh, this is getting long already. I'm long-winded, I'm sorry. There's a lot to cover though. This is probably the most important one this week. Saturn retrograde square Uranus. So Saturn retrograde in Aquarius, square Uranus in Taurus. Now, this is the big transit of the entire year. It's the underlying energy of everything that's going on. And once I start telling you about it, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's pretty familiar to me, pretty familiar to everything that's going on in the collective, and you'll know exactly what I mean. So let's get into it here. So the first hit of this was on February 17th. And now we have the second hit. The only thing that's different from the first is that now Saturn is in retrograde, which changes things up a bit, because we're already kind of in this area of our lives where we're like, okay, maybe I need to get more clear about my boundaries, or maybe I need to get a little bit more disciplined in certain areas of my life, or, you know, maybe I don't like these restrictions that are being placed on me, and I need to kind of reassess where it is I need to go, or what I need to do in life to make it better, or, you know, to get this authority figure off me, or however this is playing out. Saturn retrograde will make you kind of consider all of these limitations and boundaries and restrictions in life, and how to go about them in a different way, okay? So basically, we got Saturn. Now, in Hellenistic astrology, Saturn would be considered to be in what's called a superior square over to Uranus. And when a planet's in a superior square to another planet, it will put its dominance and almost all of its force onto the other planet, right? But with this dynamic, it's really interesting. So Saturn is in its home sign of Aquarius, so it's really well dignified. Saturn can be itself. It can place those rules and laws on us. It can restrict us, but it also can aid us and help us. And really working hard and being disciplined and like steadfast and accomplishing things over the course of a long period of time, right? Giving us the discipline that we need to do that. But then we've got Uranus over in Taurus, which is not well dignified. It hates being in Taurus. Uranus is a planet that likes to shake things up and change things and demolish them and reinvent the wheel. And Taurus doesn't like to change, right? It's those structures and things in our lives that we don't want to change. But the interesting thing is that Uranus is also the modern ruler of Aquarius. So we've got Saturn and Aquarius both having this kind of reception or this communication that's kind of going on. So yes, Saturn is in the superior position over Uranus, but Uranus is like, hey buddy, you're also in my home too. So we got to work together in some way here. So Saturn can't quite dominate Uranus in the way that it would necessarily like to. So what does this all mean? This is basically the dynamic that's playing out in all of our lives right now, which is the old versus the new. And I know everybody and their mother or their brother have all of this going on, okay? So you can probably already start to think like, okay, these are the old dynamics in my life that I really want to change, but I can't quite yet because there's something limiting me, there's something restricting me, there's something holding me back, or it could go this way. There's something in my life that I know I need to change, but I don't want to because this, and this is going to happen, and I just don't want to do that because it's really uncomfortable and it's going to put me in a weird place, right? But yet, Uranus is that planet that's like, oh, you're going to change it. You're going to change it regardless if you want to or not. And sometimes Uranus has this ability to make it happen and cause this like breakdown and this upheaval and this sudden and unexpected disruption in our lives that will change it for us, because Uranus truly wants to help us be liberated and become more free from these circumstances that are no longer in alignment with what's best for us moving forward in our lives. But sometimes, let's be honest, we don't even know what the hell's best for us. So we need a little bit of cosmic assistance sometimes, I guess you could say. But so like basically Saturn rules over the traditions, set in place traditions and structures, our life foundations, and also rules and laws and contracts and just things that we rely on that we may not be able to necessarily rely on in the future. It's the status quo. It's what's accepted by society, right? Those rules and restrictions that are placed on us that we are expected to abide by, where the energy of Uranus is very rebellious. It's very eccentric, wacky, out there, weird. It likes to take things that are old and outdated and redo them and innovate them and change them up. It's all about technology and technological advancements. It would represent those individuals that are rebellious in nature, that don't like the status quo, that are willing to walk amongst backwards through the crowd, being totally different than everybody else. So yeah, that's kind of the energy that we're going with here. This non-conformist energy versus the conformist energy, you know? So it's really interesting. And what's happening is it's collapsing a lot of structures and foundations and things in our collective environment, in our world, in our societies. You can see all this stuff going on with the government, with our financial system. And it's just really beginning, you guys. This is just really beginning, because this is going to be an undercurrent of a theme that runs through 2022 as well, unfortunately. Well, it's not unfortunate though. I hate to say that, because we really do need this to happen in order to really create the world that's going to be a lot better for all of us regular folks, I guess you could say, that aren't part of the big club per se. But as more restrictions and limitations and things are imposed upon us, the more and more we are all going to feel very anxious to want to break free, to want to rebel, to want to be free from our old circumstances. And I'll give you an example. I was talking to my dad yesterday. I always use him. I feel bad. He probably doesn't care, but he's in this situation right now where he's getting so excited because he's retiring, and they're making all these plans. Like they just signed to purchase a home in Florida, and he still has to work every day, you know, and it's been many years of working every single day in the same job, right? He's so dedicated and so loyal and such a hard worker. And he's just getting to the point where he doesn't want to go to work every single day. He doesn't want to get up anymore at 3:30 in the morning and have to be there by like 5 a.m. You know, he's tired of it. But it's just not quite time to break free from it yet. There's still some limitations imposed upon him. He can't even, you know, he can't quite retire for a few more months, and it's just, you know, he's really feeling this need to break free. But he feels like all these limitations and restrictions continue to be placed on him. So I'm sure you guys are starting to see where this might be in your life, where this might be affecting you. This could also potentially bring riots and uproar amongst humanity, because this is Aquarius energy. Whether it's Uranus or Aquarius, same kind of thing. It's civil unrest and protests. So I wouldn't be surprised that we see an increase in this in the next couple months. I don't know what's going to happen, but it'll be really interesting to see that the way that it plays out. So one thing, you guys, is just a little side note here. We are not going to be going back to the old normal. There's no going back to normal. Everything is going to continue changing. We're just going to have to create and build this new normal. And how do we know that the new normal is not better than the old normal? I'll tell you one thing, it will be. It will be better, for sure. It might take a little bit of time to actually build that, but it's going to be a progressive change. It already is. We may have certain situations where Uranus comes in and blows things up for a minute, but it will be overall a very progressive change for most people, and we'll get used to the energy more and more over time. And by the time we have the third hit, December 23rd, hopefully we'll be able to kind of flow more with that energy at that time. But that's basically what is going on with the forecast this week. So that was pretty much a really long forecast, and I say we get into the forecast for all 12 zodiac signs. So you guys, make sure that you check for your rising sign is going to be the most accurate, your rising sign or your ascendant. And then you can check for your sun sign secondarily. So to make this quick and concise, I'm just going to basically be discussing the Mars influence this week in everybody's lives when Mars is moving, because that's a big transit in itself, but getting into everything else is going to take us really a long time. So let's go ahead and start with Aries rising and Aries sun. So Mars is moving out of your 4th house in the sign of Cancer, where it was not very well dignified, potentially bringing some challenges as it pertains to frustrations, pent-up anger and aggression, passive aggression, just conflict types of dynamics on the home front, in home and family dynamics. Maybe with your home in general, where you live could potentially have become a problem. Mars sometimes has a tendency to cut and sever things out of our lives, and sometimes can actually prevent bodily injuries, which could have been a potential for you as well, being that Mars is the ruler of your 1st house, Aries, which is your body. This could potentially have brought some challenges to your identity and how you relate to things going on at home or with people at home and family members. So Mars is going to be moving out of your 4th house, out of all these crazy dynamics, and it is hopefully has shown you how to be a little bit more direct and facing things a little bit more head on as it pertains to some of these conflicts and situations that have been going on in the home front with family members, with your home, with your property. And it's moving into your 5th house, which is a really beautiful place for Mars to be, especially being in such a great sign like Leo. This is going to bring a really active energy where you're going to probably want to move your body a lot. It's probably going to be very important that you're out there maybe doing athletics, sports, some type of recreation. And it'll be really fun if you can do this with friends, even just in some type of competitive way, because Mars and Leo are both really competitive signs, and that would really give you a nice energy with this. This is also the house of dating and romance. So of course, there's always a possibility with the overinflation of the ego and a little bit too much confidence, arrogance, and conflict and aggression always with Mars. But really, let's hope that there's just a lot of motivation and a lot of energy that's being put into romance, because Leo is a very romantic sign. So when it comes to dating and sex, your sex drive, because that has a lot to do with Mars too, there may just be a lot of energy behind those kinds of topics right now. This could also bring some energy where your kids are being really active and doing a lot of sports or something like that, or you're being very active or really motivated to kind of have fun and share a lot of fun, joy activities with your children in some way, shape, or form. But really, this is just the house of what brings you joy and happiness and how you go about doing that. So Aries, have fun with this transit because it looks really, really positive for you overall. Taurus rising and Taurus sun. So Taurus, Mars has been transiting your third house, and it has not been in a very good position in this third house because it's just not in its nature with Cancer. This is the house ruling over communication. So there is a potential that there could have been some challenging communication, some confrontation, especially as it pertains to people that are in your immediate environment. Maybe some pent up emotions and passive aggression, confrontation with neighbors, siblings, people in your community or community organizations that you're involved with, and relatives in general. So just a challenge being able to completely express yourself in the way that you may have wanted to. You're not able to kind of go at things directly, sidestepping things a little bit, and that's causing a lot of that could have been causing a lot of internal frustration for the past month and a half or so. Now Mars is going to be moving into your fourth house. So this is the house of home and family and property and, all the people in our family, all of our family members. So this is going to be a lot more well-placed than it was before. It's very motivating and energized energy, but it kind of brings a different dynamic in for you, being that this is your private life, right? So really this shows me that you're probably going to be a little bit more motivated to be doing things with your family and be at home, whether that be sports or recreation or like doing something that is very energetic, or whether you're just motivated to kind of be at home, or maybe it's working on the home. Maybe there's some type of home renovation that you've always wanted to do. Leo's always like to have, or Leo fourth house always likes to have a very lavish home. They take pride in a beautiful kind of extravagant look to their home. So maybe you're going to be doing some kind of renovation or landscaping or whatever it might be, or maybe you are going to be moving and you've got to pack and do all of those kinds of things, or maybe you're just going to be spending more time with family and doing that kind of thing. Now this is also bringing in 12th house topics, which is things that we are not always aware of, that are kind of like hidden in the shadows, or this could even potentially just mean that you're being really motivated and expending a lot of energy on doing things behind the scenes right now. Or there could be some type of conflict or frustration as it pertains to any type of subconscious tendencies and behavior patterns that you have that could potentially be sabotaging you in some way, shape, or form, and maybe somehow having a negative impact on your family dynamics or people at home in some way that could potentially be coming to the forefront for you right now. But there will probably be a lot of motivation to kind of work through that and clear it. So I would say use this energy wisely. Or it could just potentially mean that you are spending a lot of time in private, right? You're doing things behind the scenes. You're not as motivated to kind of be out in public with a lot of people. And you want to do things like meditation, focus on spirituality, on rest and retreat. And all of those things could potentially be coming to the forefront for you in the next month and a half. For Gemini rising and Gemini sun, Mars in Cancer, where it's been since the end of April, has been transiting your second house of money, resources, possessions, and self-worth. So Mars was not very dignified in this house. This could have potentially brought a lot of challenges. Mars likes to sever and separate things. It likes to remove things from our lives. So there could have been a potential that there were some challenges that you were going through at this time with money, with your resources, and all of those kinds of things. Maybe there was a source of money that you had that was somehow removed, or just some situation that was posing to be quite a challenge in that area of your life. And it could have potentially made you a little bit more aggressive or passive aggressive, or had some bottled up frustrations that you didn't quite know how to express, and you weren't really able to kind of go at it from a direct approach. and you were kind of sidestepping it or taking a weird approach to it. And hopefully this energy has kind of taught you how to approach things in a more direct manner, because now Mars is going to be continuing on with the story, moving into your third house, which really opens up the window of communication. It really helps us to be a little bit more confident in the way that we speak, in the way that we express ourselves and our needs. So maybe whatever that situation was, you're going to be able to ask for the help that you need, or communicate yourself a little bit more clearly, or maybe go out and get that job that you need. Because this can definitely open up the window for those kinds of things as well. It may also potentially increase your daily busyness, because these are the things that we do on the daily in our daily environment. Errands that we run in our immediate environment, all of those kinds of things. This also rules over transportation too. So you want to be a little bit more careful with Mars being in the sign, just because there is a potential, Mars can be kind of impulsive. It can kind of sometimes cause accidents. However, it's not poorly dignified here. So I would say that chances are that with that are pretty rare. This also brings in the topic of your friend's house and the groups and organizations that you're affiliated with, as well as your hopes and your goals and dreams for life. So this could potentially bring in the chance to really spend time with more friends, or maybe you're going to feel a little bit more motivated to do this. There's going to be a lot more energy behind it, an opportunity to get involved with the groups and organizations that you want to get involved with, or really light the fire under those goals that you have and what you want to do and what you want to achieve in the future. This is really going to help to set that in motion, and you may be able to do those little things that need to be done, the mundane tasks on a daily basis, in order to really get those things started. Cancer rising and Cancer sun. All right, so for you Cancer, Mars has actually been in your first house. It's been in fall in your first house, which is pretty challenging. So this could really have brought up a lot within you, because the first house is who you are, it's your identity, it's your personality, it's your character, it's the way that people see and perceive you. So there could have been some confrontation from other people that could have made you kind of feel passive aggression, or have this bottled up frustration inside of you, or really like triggered you emotionally, because Cancer is our emotions and it's our moods. It could have just potentially made you very moody. Like one day you were feeling fine, the next day you were feeling anxiety and frustration for no apparent reason whatsoever. I can definitely see that playing out. And because this is opposing your 7th house, I would say that there may have potentially been some dynamics in relationship with other people that could have potentially been challenging for you. Luckily, Mars is leaving this house, and it's going to be moving into your money house. Now, does pretty well in Leo. It's a really motivated energy. It's going to give us a lot of ambition to go out there and achieve, and this is going to give you a lot of motivation to make that money, right? And this is also tied in with your house of career, what you do out in the public, right? How you're perceived on the public stage. So this is really bringing that fire energy into money and into your career and your ambition. So I'd say that that's great, because you're going to have the motivation and you're going to have the willpower and what's needed to really drive yourself forward and do what it takes to kind of stack up your bank account right now, bring in those resources or save or whatever it is. But you want to make sure that with Mars in the 2nd house too, Mars likes to burn through things, and that would mean money. So you want to watch out for your spending at this time too. I would say be a little bit careful with that, but really this should bring in a lot of motivation. Of course, with Mars, there always is the potential, depending on your chart specifically, for Mars to kind of cut things out of our life, to sever things, to cause challenges and conflict. So maybe there is a potential here where a source of money could potentially become a challenge or be removed in some way, shape, or form, or maybe it's a resource or some sort of possession that you might have. Leo, you've also been quite challenged with Mars being in your 12th house the past month and a half. Mars doesn't do very well in Cancer anyways, like I said earlier in the video. And this is probably one of the most challenging houses in the chart, if not the most challenging. It is the house of everything unconscious, which is really challenging when we aren't able to actually see what's unconscious, right? Because it's harder for us to fix it or change it. These are the tendencies that we have that we may sabotage ourselves, or behaviors and patterns and tendencies that we have that sabotage us out in our lives. These could be our mental disorders and our mindsets that get in our way, and our internal blockages that prevent us from really moving forward in life. But Mars here was kind of lighting a fire, even though it's being dampened a little bit by Cancer. And this could potentially have brought up a lot of mental instability and challenges, trying to work through some of these habits and trying to work through some of these internal patterns that you might have. It could have actually maybe really triggered addictions and certain habits and tendencies like that. It could also just have made you very passive and very quiet and wanting to kind of retreat away from other people in solitude and seclusion, or maybe really focusing more so on your spirituality and things like that. But now Mars is going to be moving out of that house and into your first house, which in Leo, this is going to be really great energy for you guys. This is your first house. This is who you are. It's yourself. It's your vitality. It's your body. You're probably going to be super energized, really motivated to exercise and take care of your physical form, and really take care of yourself. And you're going to have that fire energy behind you that's going to be really supportive in helping you do just that. So physical activity, moving your body is going to be really important, so that because you guys are going to have so much energy and you don't want it to get stuck in the body in some way and turn into negative emotion or some type of physical challenge, you want to make sure that you are getting that proper physical exercise as well. I would say that this is also going to be bringing in your 9th house, which is your belief systems about the world, the way that you perceive reality, your religious affiliations, spiritual affiliations, and even things like higher learning and teaching and things like that. So you might be really, really motivated at this time to get out there and teach, to get out there and learn, taking a new course or enrolling in some type of new program or college or something like that, trying to help better yourself for the future. Or this could really just make you motivated to kind of explore your belief systems and the way that you see the world, and kind of changing up and really reviewing and having the motivation to put behind developing this sense of like morals and ethics that you have as a person, and how it pertains to your overall sense of identity and who you really are as a person. So you're kind of reviewing all of these things, like where I might be a little bit too rigid in the way that I perceive things, or where I might cause frustration within myself, that I'm actually causing myself based off of the way that I see and perceive the world. So these are just different things that could potentially play out. It could obviously happen in many other ways, because this is also the house of foreign travel. So who knows, some of you might be traveling, which could really change the person that you are, right? Because when we get into a foreign culture and we experience something completely different, it changes the way that we see the world and who we are as a person. So I see a lot of energy and motivation behind all of those kinds of things. All right, Virgo rising and Virgo sun. Mars has been in the challenging position of Cancer in your 11th house. So this could potentially have brought some conflict or aggression or challenges as it pertains to friendships and the groups that you may be involved with. This could potentially bring this sense of needing to protect or like exert your will to make the people that you are associated with in the groups and friendships that you're in feel protected and feel safe because of some type of outlying source that may have been imposing its will or something like that. You may have just been super motivated at this time to achieve your goals out in the world and really focus on what it is that you dream to achieve in the future, right? And now Mars is going to be moving into your 12th house. So even though it is well dignified, this still, can be a little bit more challenging, and it may just mean that we are really motivated to focus on ourselves, being more internally, being in solitude, seclusion a little bit more, really working on your inner self and your spiritual aspects of yourself, which means diving deep into things like the shadow, diving deep into things like your ego and your sense of self in general, and maybe the things that block you or stifle you, or the habits and patterns that you have that get in the way and that cause you to maybe sabotage yourself in some aspects of life. So So it's really going to be bringing motivation and drive behind that area of life. It's not a very public house, so you could potentially just be exuding a lot of energy doing things behind the scenes with this as well. And then also, this is going to be bringing in the themes from the 8th house. So the 8th and 12th house, there's a lot of healing energy going on here. So there is a lot of support if that is something that you need or want to do, is heal and kind of explore the intricacies of the subconscious mind and explore maybe some traumatic things that you went through earlier on in life, and how they cause you strife, or how they cause you conflict, or why they make you aggressive, or whatever that might be for you. This could also potentially bring in the topic of joint finances and how you get money from other people, whether that be through inheritance or whether that be associated with debts. So maybe you're just going to be really motivated to spend more time in solitude and seclusion, or working really hard behind the scenes to pay off certain debts, right? Or pay off taxes, or whatever that might be. And this is a potential to really drive some sort of major transformation into your life in the next month and a half, because the 8th house is associated with transformation. It's like the butterfly emerging from the cocoon, right? After this incubation period, which is given by the 12th house. It's that incubation period. So if you are wondering why you need to get more rest, or why you feel like retreating, or why life is forcing that upon you at this time, just try and honor it as much as possible, because there is a potential here where there could be some major opportunity for transformation coming your way. All right, Libra rising and Libra sun. So Cancer has been traveling your 10th house, and that could potentially have been really challenging, bringing some frustrations, maybe some confrontation, aggression, strife in the area of career, right? What you're doing out in the public, what you're doing out in the open. So you may have felt pretty motivated to do this, but being that Cancer is a really receptive energy, it maybe was not as well received, or you weren't able to execute it in the ways in which you would have liked to, or maybe you were receiving some type of opposition in some way, shape, or form from other people. But overall, this was a lot of motivating energy, probably wanting to move you out into the world, doing something as it pertains to career, how you're seen out in the world, or maybe pertaining to the legacy that you leave behind for your children and other generations to come. Now this Mars is going to be moving into your 11th house, and since it's really well dignified, I really like this energy. The 11th house is a really fun house. It has to do with our friends. It has to do with the people that we associate with that are like allies that help us in some way in our lives. So you're probably just going to be really motivated to get out there and be active and do fun things and bring out that inner child and have fun with your friends and laugh and carry on. Just have a really good time. You may even be really, really motivated at this time to kind of go after your goals and your dreams and your hopes and what it is that you want to do. Maybe there's challenges that were just happening in the career department which kind of really frustrated you and changed things up, and now you're having to kind of reinvent the wheel, and you're going to get that extra motivation that you need to kind of light a fire under what it is you want to achieve and kind of put things in place and take action towards those goals that you have, because this is also going to bring in topics associated with relationships. So I don't know if there's maybe somebody that could potentially be coming in to your life that may help you in deciding what it is you want to do for the future, that may be inspiring you in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's a friendship that ends up turning into a relationship. Ooh, I like the sound of that. That's always fun. Or maybe this relationship is a business relationship that comes in that really helps you to move into maybe a career or move in a direction of something that you didn't even realize you really wanted to do. So you have these new goals and hopes and dreams for yourself in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe some relationship comes in, maybe it's a friendship or a partner, and it gets you completely involved in some type of new group or organization that you really like to be involved with too. But this is going to get you active, and this is going to get you out there, and it's going to get you motivated. So make sure that you're really harnessing this vibe that we have for the next month and a half. Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun. So basically Mars has been transiting your 9th house in the sign of Cancer for the past month and a half, which has been a little challenging for everybody. The 9th house isn't that bad, not that challenging, but this could have potentially really brought in some motivation, really brought in some drive and energy into your will towards maybe learning something, some type of higher educational pursuit. Or maybe you are a teacher and there was a lot going on with that. But there's also that potential for some aggression and confrontation and challenging situations that challenge all of these types of things too, right? That brought a little bit of turmoil, that brought a little bit of inner conflict and passive aggressive type situations or opposition from other people, that brought a lot of tension, because this is not a good place for Mars at all. Now, this is also the house of our belief systems, our own morals and ethics, and like how the way that we see the world and like our beliefs that direct our behaviors out in the world. So your behavior and your belief systems, maybe even your religious affiliations and the way, you know, your spiritual beliefs about the world could have potentially been challenged, which can obviously cause inner disharmony, right? And passive aggression and not knowing how to properly express our energy or our aggression. And that is what the Mars and Cancer energy is all about, not knowing how to properly express aggression and bottling it up and causing this inner volatility. But now the story's changing, and maybe it's shaking up your belief systems or shaking up whatever we just talked about, and it's moving into your career house, right? Which is going to bring a lot of energy and motivation and drive into what you're doing out in the world. So maybe your belief systems have totally changed in the way that you see the world, or maybe some dynamics and some things that you've learned or not learned, or, you know, whatever it has been, how the storyline has been unfolding and playing out for you. There's going to be some changes and motivation coming into your career department. You're going to be really active and engaged in whatever it is that you're setting out to do in the world. You might even find yourself being a little extra busy than normal during the next month and a half. But that's really exciting, because this is also, this could also make you be more public, get more public accolades, or potentially a promotion, or like, you know, a positive situation as it pertains to maybe a boss or somebody in a position of authority, or maybe you're getting promoted to a position of authority. This could be a really big boost to your self-confidence as well if you handle the energy wisely. This is also bringing in the topics associated with the 6th house, because Mars is the ruler of Aries. Aries rules over your 6th house. The 6th house is a place of work. So maybe there's some things going on with work dynamics, which are going to be very supportive, moving you towards what it is that you really want to do in the world, towards your career. Or maybe there's going to be a situation with employees, because this house is also rules over the employees, the people who work for us, our subordinates and co-workers. So this could also just bring a lot of involvement with all of those dynamics that's really kind of lighting a fire under you and making you really inspired, making you really motivated to kind of go after your career, go after what it is that you want. What's going to be really important is that you're focusing on filing that energy in a healthy manner in what you're doing with your daily habits, what you're doing on a daily basis. Everything that happens and goes on in our life stems from what we do on a daily, right? So you want to make sure that you are focusing on your daily habits and your patterns, your nutrition, exercise regimen, that you're taking care of your body, because the 6th house has to do with all of our habits and all of those things as well. So you want to make sure that you're really focusing that energy and that drive into exercise, taking care of yourself, but you probably will be super motivated to do that, which is really going to help you in that career department too, and being seen out in the public in the ways that you would prefer to be seen. Sagittarius rising and Sagittarius sun. So Mars has been moving through your 8th house, which is kind of challenging, especially being that it's in the sign of Cancer. This could definitely have brought up some inner turmoil, where you may have had to face some fears within yourself that it could have potentially stemmed from some traumatic childhood experiences, or just different traumas and things that you have had to face in your life. The 8th house is the house of fear, and Mars, especially in the sign of Cancer, would really love to probe that and kind of trigger that within a person and bring up a lot of inner turmoil where you feel the need to protect yourself, protect your family. You feel like your safety and security is almost being negatively affected in some way, causing a lot of aggression, inner conflict, turmoil, and things like that, where you're not able to properly express yourself. You don't really have an outlet for all of this aggression and this turmoil that's going on inside of you. That is only one way that it could potentially play out. Mars is really probing you to kind of transform this aspect of your life, right? Motivating you to kind of take a deeper look at it. This could have also brought some conflict or potential to cut out or remove maybe some type of joint finance or resource, some type of money that you were getting from another person or another source or something like that, which can also pose to be sort of a challenge, right? This could bring in some challenges and conflict with taxes and debts and inheritance, all of those things that are associated with the 8th house. Now Mars is moving into a much better position for you and for everybody for that matter, pretty much. In the sign of Leo, this is going to be moving through your 9th house. So you might be really motivated to kind of get out there and explore the world. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to see, this is the house of international travel, foreign culture, foreign people. So this might be something that you feel called to do. Being a Sagittarius rising, you're really into this kind of thing anyways. So maybe you are feeling called and motivated to do that because Mars is our will to do things and achieve things and set things in motion, right? It's that fire energy. This is also the house of higher learning and higher education. So maybe you feel like this is the perfect time for you to go out there and study something. Start some sort of course of education. Maybe get a teacher. Maybe some teacher will be coming into your life that's really going to aid you and help you in learning something that you've always wanted to learn or continuing your education in some way, shape, or form. Or it could potentially bring in motivation and the desire to kind of explore different belief systems, or the way that you perceive the world could potentially be something that comes to the forefront and is triggered a little bit here, that is going to really motivate you to say, hey, maybe I could look at things from a different perspective. Maybe I need to shift my belief systems a little bit to tweak things in my everyday experience to help move me forward in life, because this also is bringing in the topics of the 5th house, which is how you experience joy, what you do out in the world to bring you joy. This is also children. So this could be really shifting your belief systems as it pertains to those types of topics, as it pertains to dating and romance. Maybe you have some skewed perceptions about romantic partners based off of some stuff that you've been going through, and that could have potentially been what Mars was just triggering in your 8th house. And now it's time for you to shift your belief systems and your outlook on those types of things. Maybe you need to shift your own sense of morals and ethical viewpoints on how you hold yourself within dating and relationships. These are just like romantic flings and affairs, but that could potentially be how it plays out, or even just really shifting your perspective on what you do to have fun and how you bring in joy. And maybe this is joy through some type of creative outlet of some form, or movement of the body in sports or whatever that might be that pertains to this learning that you're doing. Or somehow they could potentially be meshed together, or you're just bringing in a lot more joy because you are learning or traveling or doing what it is that you really like to do. But the 5th house is being tied in here. It is the house of joy and what we do to have fun because we like to do it. So it looks like you guys are going to have an opportunity to do a little bit of that in whatever way that this plays out for you, because there's a million different possibilities. Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun. So Mars has been transiting your 7th house in Cancer. So this could have potentially brought up some challenges, conflicts, passive aggression in relationships. So I don't know if maybe there were intimate partners, maybe marriage partners, or family that are related to your marriage partner, maybe your in-laws or your family, where there's been some conflict or been some strife that you've had to deal with. It's brought in some areas of maybe where you feel like you need to protect yourself, or you feel like you need to protect your partner in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe you guys are getting into conflict over family dynamics or something like that. There's just a lot of these things that it could have come into play. where you really maybe feel like you have to protect your own feelings and your own emotions, or, you know, like I said, there's a million different ways that this could potentially play out for you. But luckily, this is going to be moving out of that house, giving you a little bit of relief. So you're not feeling like you're having this pent-up aggression going on inside of you, or you don't have any outlet for it. And we're moving Mars into a fire sign, which is a really good place for it to be. And it's moving into your 8th house, which is going to bring joint finances into play. So I don't know if there is going to be some type of situation or dynamic that maybe occurs where you're going to be getting benefits of some sort, or there's a lot of motivation behind what your partner is doing out in the world and the money that he is bringing in or she is bringing in that could potentially be benefiting you in some way too. Maybe you guys are just going to be really extra motivated to pay off debts and to kind of arrange situations like that, or maybe investing in something or taking out a loan for something. I can see coming into the forefront here. This could also potentially just bring in topics of healing. And you might feel really motivated, or some situation may come up where you need to heal from past dynamics or obsessive tendencies that you may have, because this is the house that kind of rules over things like jealousy, obsessions, and just deep traumatic maybe experiences that we've been through that have impacted us throughout our lives, that cause problems in our lives and things like that. So it's a potential for a big transformation to occur if you are able to kind of set these things in motion and really follow this this train of energy that Mars is laying out for you in this house. But this also brings into the topics of home and family into the matter. So this could potentially be some type of, because Mars can sometimes rule over removing things, so this could potentially be, if it's not well dignified in your chart, the removal of some type of joint finance, the severing of maybe you and your partner's money, or maybe some type of inheritance that you're getting based off of maybe a death that happened in the family, because this is bringing home and family dynamics. Or maybe you are taking out a loan because you're purchasing a home or something like that. I mean, there's so many different ways that this could play out, but it could even potentially bring in the dynamics of deep healing and regeneration as it pertains to family dynamics. Different things pertaining to the family that could have stemmed from traumatic experiences once you were growing up or something like that, that really need to be evaluated and healed. These are just a couple of the different ways that I see that. Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun. So Mars has been not in the best position, transiting your 6th house of health and daily habits and the body, nutrition, exercise, but more so physical health. And when I see Mars in the 6th house in fall and Cancer, this definitely brings to the forefront some concerns with the body, some concerns with health. So I don't know if there was something that you may have been going through, some health concerns or scares that could have really maybe scared you a little bit for your safety and security as a person, and you know, your health. That's always scary. Our health is something that we need to value so dearly, you know. This could have also maybe brought some strife or conflict as it pertains to what you do on the daily, your habits, your patterns that could have potentially been causing you some issues with the body. That could even be stress induced as well, because that would be Mars in Cancer, passive aggression, bottled up emotions that are causing this dis-ease internally and externally. This is also the house of work. So this could be removing a job or causing conflict in the workplace. You know, all of those types of things could potentially be a problem. It could be confrontation, passive aggressive behavior amongst coworkers, or even issues with your employees if you have employees. Now Mars is going to be moving into your 7th house. It is in a much more well-dignified position than if it were to be in Cancer. So for the most part, unless it shows otherwise in your chart, I do see this being a really great motivating energy where you can be really active with your partner, maybe get out, go do things, enjoy life, bring that childlike fun and romantic nature into the mix. So the dynamic is going to be in partnership. You're going to be really motivated to get out there, do things with your partner. This could also be business partners and contracts. So I don't know if maybe you're going to be doing some things with a business partner, maybe signing some contracts. This would be After Mercury retrograde, of course, a good time to do that. But with this energy as well, this is going to bring in the topics of the third house, which would be contracts and negotiations. So see, I guess maybe some people might be motivated to get married at this point, signing a marriage contract, signing a business contract. It's all those daily mundane things that we do, like paperwork, emails, all of those kinds of things. So a lot of busyness on the daily, a lot of mundane daily things that are going to be necessary that you're going to need to do. There probably will be a lot of communication between you and your partner, and between you and a lot of people in your community and your local environment. Maybe with relatives and neighbors and siblings or anything like that. There is a potential that you could just be traveling a lot in your local environment and just really busy with like errands and different tasks that you need to do. Traveling around in a vehicle. Maybe you're even motivated to do some traveling with your partner that's short distance travel, right? Because the third house would rule over short trips. These are trips that can be made by car, just not in a plane, not long distance. So yeah. That looks like overall some pretty great energy for you. Just watch out, obviously with Mars, you can always get conflict and aggression and things like that. So you want to watch out for abrasive communication, over egotistical ways of speaking, too much pride and arrogance in your communication that could cause some strife or conflict in partnership. But yeah. And Pisces, rising Pisces sun. So Mars has been transiting Cancer, which is a very challenging place for it to be, in your 5th house. So this could have potentially made you extra protective over your children. And it could also brought some conflict or some challenges as it pertains to dating and romantic partners. Maybe there were some emotional issues that you needed to get through as it is pertaining to these types of topics. It could have also brought some conflict in overindulgence. Maybe you were having to face some aspects of yourself. Maybe there's like emotional drinking or something going on here where you're overindulging, or you're maybe doing a little bit too much gambling to try and combat those inner emotional feelings that you have, because this Mars in Cancer can definitely make you in the feels, and it can be kind of uncomfortable. It can bring in a lot of emotional turmoil and volatility. Good old Mercury retrograde. Can't talk very well. But overall, this was the house of joy and hobbies and all of those kinds of things. So there may have potentially been a situation that was preventing you from doing the things that you really love to do, right? Because Mars is just not very well dignified here. So it could have been some type of injury or some type of challenge in life or frustration from not being able to truly enjoy life in the ways that you really would like to enjoy it, doing the hobbies that you really want to do, doing the recreational things that you really want to do. It also could bring up mouthy children or just challenges with children in general, or maybe some type of opposition from external sources where you feel like you need to protect your children. Because Mars and Cancer is like the protective mother, right? These are just a couple ways I see that, but now Mars is going to be leaving, thank God, right? It's going to be leaving that sign and moving into Leo, which it does a lot better in Leo. It's another fire sign. And this is going to be in your 6th house of work. So you could just be really, really busy at work. Maybe you are just working your butt off, you're toiling away. This is the house where we work hard, right? Because it rules over things like the service industry, being of service to other people, working in restaurants, just really working hard. This is also the house of physical health and the physical body. So you want to make sure that you're really staying active, you're getting your physical exercise in, you're focusing on nutrition and really taking care of the body so you can promote a healthy environment for yourself to kind of flourish and excel in. Overall, Mars is pretty well dignified unless it shows otherwise in your chart. If you are having some ill aspects to Mars in your chart, it could bring the potential for some physical concerns, for some sickness or any type of physical ailment. So that is always something that you do want to watch out for, and you want to make sure you're taking all the necessary precautions so that that doesn't happen. If you do have employees, they could just be extra motivated to work and help you out at this time. Unless it's ill aspected, then you could get some lip from them, or could be some confrontation amongst coworkers, employees, all of those types of dynamics. And then this is also tying in the topics of money. So you are going to be working really hard to bring in money. I mean, there is a very big potential here for you to bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. But like I always say, when Mars is associated in some way, shape, or form with that second house of money and resources and possessions and finances, you want to watch out because Mars likes to burn through things. So yes, you are working really, really hard, and that's great and all, and you're bringing in the money, pat on the back, but you want to watch out that you're not blowing through it just as fast as you're making it. So yeah, but I overall, I think this looks really good. Just expect to be working a lot. And hopefully there's going to be a great opportunity for you to be bringing in the Benjamins with that as well. But thank you guys so very much if you are still with me. That is your forecast for this week. I wish you the best. Just hang in there. We do have some pretty dense energies that we're going to be navigating, you guys, but hopefully this Mars energy will help to give us the little push that we need to kind of go through, have the self-confidence that we need, and the motivation and the energy that we need to move through any difficulties that present themselves in the weeks to come. But I love you guys as always. Thank you so much for always being here with me, you guys. This is so cool that I get to do this, and I'm just so forever grateful. And I owe it all to you guys for watching this, or else I wouldn't have an audience. But yes, I will see you guys next week, next Friday. Please leave me a comment if you liked this. Slap the like button below, tap subscribe, share this with your friends. Peace and namaste. Until next week.